you're well. Konsakija here. This is Inspire YG. If you're popping in here for the first time, welcome. So just a bit of and if you're all always tuning in, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I see you, and continue sharing, liking, comment down below and tell me what you think about the content that I present here, or that I share here. So anyway, I hope you've been well. It's another week, so I have been MIA for a minute. Life has been happening. When life happens, it happens. But just some of the things that I've been going through, I want to share some of those, and I'm hoping it will help someone. I think as people who, international students especially, or people who travel from one country to another, there's some sort of similar situations that people go through. And I think when you've gone through something and you feel like it's your first time, what I feel is I have that need to share that experience, just in case someone else will go through the same, and then they will, at least it won't appear new to them as it did to me. So that's what I do on this page. I sort of share my journey, and I started off with sharing my life as an international student. I came to Australia from Kenya a couple of years ago now, and I've been here since. So every year I had so many ups and downs, but most importantly, opportunities that I felt like they can help someone out there if I share how I came about those opportunities, because they're not once, or they don't happen once, and they don't just happen to me. They're out there, but sometimes when you don't know what you don't know until you know it. So anyway, this video is not going to be too long, but I'm just going to share what I've been what I've been dealing with the last 2 weeks, and probably why I've been MIA. So like I said, I've been in Australia for a long time, and I've been here as an international, on different capacities, as an international student, as a worker, and and a person living in Australia. So for those who don't know, obviously when you move to a new country, you need to get a visa. You just cannot be in another country illegally. So initially when I came here, I came on a student visa because I was a student. But then, finished uni and tried to practice here. When you finished university in Australia, if you study for at least 3 years, if you do your degree or your master's, you're going to get a visa called 485, which is a graduate visa. So a visa that allows you to stay in Australia and practice what you studied. And depending on what you want to do after that, some people finish and they want to go back to their country of origin, or they want to travel to a different country for different opportunities, or they want to stay back. So for my case, I wanted to practice in Australia, and so I looked for ways where I could have stayed back to be able to practice. So in the midst of that, the visas change. So the visa requirements changes depending on the visa you're looking. So the visa that you need for like a student visa is quite different from a working visa, and some of the requirements of acquiring these two different visas can also be very different. So for example, one of the things I wanted to mention, and I think I've mentioned this in a previous video where I was talking about, depending on the country that you're coming from, the requirement can also differ based on that. So today I'm going to speak about a topic that I had to do my due diligence, because just a disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor. I've got a background in social work and a minor in psychology, but I'm not a medical doctor, but I've had to do my due diligence so that I can know how to adhere to or actually be able to give the documentation that was required of me. So for example, I give an example of yellow fever. That's a yellow fever card. I will put a picture just somewhere here for you to have a look at it. But there are countries where people have to be vaccinated for yellow fever, and especially people who come from tropical countries. So from what I understand, my yellow fever is supposed to expire or it's actually, well, yes, it's supposed to expire next year. And my understanding was you're supposed to get a booster shot. Well, it's a shot, yeah. You're supposed to get because it expires every 10 years, so you're supposed to go and get another one, get vaccinated again after 10 years. But apparently things have changed, and I did not know this until I went to the doctor because I needed a yellow fever card to be able to travel. I gave an example of how I traveled to Thailand, and I did not know about it because Australia had never been very strict on it. Like, I know I showed it when I was applying for my student visa initially when I first came to Australia, but I did not know. I had traveled to so many countries before, and I had never been asked to provide a yellow fever card until I went to Thailand. And then I got to Bangkok and was trying to get through the gates, and I was told, which country do you come from? I'm saying I'm coming from Australia. No, but your passport shows you come from Kenya. So I literally had to step aside, and they took me to this center where they were taking everybody from Africa and African countries or South America to have this checked. And that was the first time that happened. Thank God. I always used to travel with it, even without knowing that it might be required. But now some things have changed, and I think it's sort of maybe an advancement within the public health sector globally, where I was looking at this before, and I'm just looking at my iPad where I want to check what I saw about yellow fever. There's some information that has come out lately about yellow fever, that people do not actually need to have it renewed every 10 years like it has been known in the past. And so when I went to the doctor told me, you actually don't need to get vaccinated for yellow fever because you already have yellow fever. All you need to do is go back to the doctor who gave it to you, who administered it to you. They can just sort of sign or show proof that you actually did get vaccinated there. So this is on, I'm getting this information from New South Wales Health website. And what they're saying there is, there was a question about, is a booster dose of yellow fever vaccine required every 10 years? And I say that is what it says on my card here, that I need to have it renewed, and that's why I had made that appointment. So it says no single dose of yellow fever vaccine should provide, no, you don't need a booster. A single dose of yellow fever vaccine should provide lifelong immunity in most healthy adults and children. And it does refer you to an Australian immunization handbook. So for more advice on travelers who are recommended to receive a booster dose. So there you go. It was good news for me. I didn't have to. However, when I get to Kenya, I will need to find the doctor who gave me this shot to be able to sign here, and then I can be able to travel with this, hopefully forever, without having to get a booster. So that's one. That was yellow fever. Now, the other one I wanted to talk about was polio. So for those who don't know what polio is, again, I'm referring to the Australian Government Department of Health website. And what it says about polio, I think some people, majority of people know it as polio, but it's poliomyelitis. So polio is a contagious disease spread by close contact with an infected person. Symptoms include like fever, headache. And polio can affect people of all ages, but can be prevented by vaccination or with vaccination. Due to immunization, polio is very, very rare in Australia. And actually, Australia has been officially polio-free since 2000. And polio is present only in a few countries around the world. So who is at risk? Obviously, children under 5, young adults, and anyone not immunized who travels to a country where people still have polio. So how does it spread? It spreads into contact with infected saliva, and if you come into contact with infected feces, usually in areas where there is poor sanitation or poor cleanliness, right? So I just give that background because maybe someone out there don't know much about polio or has never heard about it. So now the reason why I'm talking about this is because one of the visas that I'm applying currently, this was one of the requirements, and I was in shock. I was like, wow, we need you to provide current polio vaccination. And I'm thinking, current? The last time I know I got a polio vaccination, I must have been probably just, I was probably just born. Because that's what happens in with children in Kenya. You get immunized when you are young, and then we never talk about polio anymore. But apparently Kenya is it's still named as one of those countries where has polio it's actually classified as an outbreak country. So we have a couple of outbreak countries, and obviously, yeah, we have so many of African countries which are still, they still, having polio cases. And then, and then we still have two countries around the world which are classified as endemic countries. So that means that polio is so prevalent in those two countries, and I think it's Afghanistan and Pakistan. So, however, because Kenya has recently had active polio cases in some parts of the country, and polio obviously can be transmitted through people traveling from one place to another. We are living in a global world. So as long as you're in Australia and you're from a country where polio is not where they still have polio outbreak, or polio is an endemic disease, then and you've gone to those countries and you've stayed there for 28 days, when you're applying for specific or some types of Australian visas, they're going to ask you to go and get a polio booster. So that's what happened to me. I did not know that I required a polio booster ever in my life. I didn't even know it was a thing. And I felt like, oh my goodness, my body is just going to have to deal with so many antigens because I just had COVID booster not long ago. But anyway, I went to the clinic, I booked it in the city, a very awesome doctor, and I had my polio booster. So like I said, this is not going to happen. You're probably not going to need it. It depends on the country you're going to, and it depends on the visa that you're applying and their requirements. But I mean, if you know you're a person who travels a lot, or who has a need to travel to countries that are polio free, but you're coming from a country where they still have polio outbreaks, I think it's a good idea if you would look into getting a polio booster. It should last, if I'm not wrong, it's 10 years. However, some countries don't have the oral polio booster, For example, Australia doesn't have it. You have to get the injection, which I do not like. So if you can get it in Kenya, for example, if you're an international student or you're a person coming from Kenya to work in Australia, this might be a requirement. I'm not saying it will be, but it might be. And so you're much better getting it from there. You're probably just gonna get the oral one where you just get the droplets, because in Australia it has to be injection. And I think in Kenya is probably more cheaper than in Australia. I think, let me have a look. How much does a polio vaccine cost in Kenya? Let's have a look. So I think in Australia it's about $55. That might be anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 Kenya shillings. So yeah, let's see. I'm not sure if I will find it. Okay, I cannot see polio per se in Australia. Oh, here. 5,500. Oh, interesting. So does that mean, interesting. I'm not sure if this is a thing where all countries have like a standard cost for polio vaccination, but it's 5,500 Kenya shillings if you're gonna get polio vaccination, tetanus, diphtheria, and all that. Well, there you go. I actually think Australia then might be cheaper than Kenya, because maybe we are like 4,000, because $55 would probably be around 4,000, 4,500. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. So I just got this information from, which website is this? I don't know. It's just saying CTTM Kenya. I don't know. Information and prices of on vaccination offered in Kenya. So there you go. I just thought I'd share that with you guys, just in case you might find yourself in that position. If you're coming to Australia, or if you're applying for a visa, those are some of the things that you can find out. If you already have a yellow fever card, please find the doctor who administered it to you and have them sign for you that you actually did, so that then you can travel with it. You don't need a booster. But for polio, chances are, based on the country you're traveling to, you're going to need one. I thought I'd share that with you guys, and I hope it helps you or helps anybody. And please share this video with anybody you know travels a lot and is coming from countries where they still have polio outbreaks. To just keep an eye on that as well. So thank you so much, guys, for popping in, and till the next one, I hope you have a good one, and bye. And oh, hold on, don't forget to share don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and also share down below, comment down below, and let me know whether you've had any of these vaccinations and whether you've had a booster, or if you're in Kenya. Chances are probably, especially if you're from Central Kenya, where we haven't had polio cases or like a huge huge thing with the polio outbreak. Let me know, because I'm sure you don't even know where your polio card is. All right, guys. Okay, now until the next one, you be good and God bless. Bye.